Hello, and welcome to my audiovisual presentation on Ocean Vuong's Time is a Mother. Together, we'll trace the threads of time and maternal connection through Vuong's work, exploring how he shapes the weight of longing into beauty. In each slide, I have incorporated my own snapshots from childhood. As an immersive backdrop, each image reflects my own quiet history, telling a story that has interconnected my own experiences from adolescence as a method to navigate Vuong's confrontations between love, grief, and the politics behind expression. By situating myself within Vuong's world of love and self-discovery, I explore his curated reality through the themes that, to me, emerged as paramount within his writing. In order to do this, a brief context behind Vuong's background is necessary. As a Vietnamese American refugee and the first in his family to achieve literacy, Vuong utilizes his history of displacement and intergenerational trauma as a lens to examine the fragility of the human body. It's widely spoken that his goal within Time as a Mother was to find the beautiful within the wreckage of personal tragedy. And whilst I cannot directly relate to the themes of grief within this book, as I read it, the central meditations of motherhood stood out to me as universal and both delicately explored as an intimate battle between nature, change, and growth. Consequently, in my analysis, I moved beyond a standard close reading of Vuong's work by adopting a more creative methodology. I chose to focus on two specific areas that resonated with me: nature and the spectrum of colour, and the weight of time and age. To truly test these themes, I repurposed Vuong's own language to construct two original poems, essentially using his vocabulary to capture what I believe is the core essence of his writing. Each line in these compositions was carefully selected from various points throughout the poetry book, ensuring that every word remains grounded in his original text. The first poem reads as follows: A tulip too late, the trees rise to their feet, like family laughing in my head. Voices in the rain as the colours spun through the windshield. Our blood is green but touches the world, save for the silent island of fur flickering. Only one image of my mother, as death passed me. The birches sway but never touch. Like the wind, I ride my own life. The sea yearns, pressed into white fields. Death enters, the room a kingdom of light. By reimagining his poetry through these specific themes, I was able to engage with Vuong's work in a more visceral way. This process allowed me to situate personal anxieties regarding, let's say, aging and memory, with broader collective modes of understanding. As a result, the second poem, which focuses on the weight of time, reads as follows: I was a murderer of my childhood. Wet as a newborn, we press our faces to the womb. It's an old story, Mother, because I too needed a place to hold me. You will look, well, here's the world, small and large as a father. I said please to signal a future. Then it came to me, the way an axe handle remembers the tree, and I was free. As it has shown, by using different lines from his poetry, I have stitched together the themes that resonated to me as intimate depictions of love and how we balance ourselves in the midst of change. Whilst Vuong focuses Time as a Mother on his own grief, this book, to me, will be remembered in my mind as a deep exploration of self in the past, using memory and nature as a guide to situating oneself in the present. I too felt connected to his writing through the sensorial engagement with nature, as a trigger memory into my past happiness and comfort of the home. Warsan Shire, a Somali-British poet, in a similar sense, maps her feelings of pain and the struggle to situate herself in the midst of spatial and familial displacement through poetic words of grief and anger, in which poetry for her becomes a crucial gateway to unpick both the universal and personal experience of gendered, racial, and bordered discriminatory practices onto selfhood. On another note, connection can be drawn out through the poetic analysis of memory. To remember, to yearn, and to want become situated in the concept of love, or otherwise known in classical Indian poetry, samara, or remembrance. Whilst inherently different in time and space, Vuong's poetic voice can be drawn to Martha Selby's analysis of desire in the Amorosataka. Whilst not strictly erotic, the aesthetic language of yearning translates into a deep ache for familial intimacy. This emotional tension serves as the foundation for my first poem, where I attempted to map the intersections of desire and belonging. Vuong reminds us that time is not just a linear progression, but a mother, something that gives life, demands attention, and shapes our identities, whether through the lens of classical Indian poetry or a navigation of my own among others' childhood memories. His work proves that grief and love are two sides of the same coin that can help offer readers a rich narration of the yearnful power of our world, in which nature, in all its truths, continues to age even without us. However, to conclude on a secondary critique of Vuong's work, reveals that his reliance on a curated reality and fragmented form does more than just aestheticize tragedy. It underscores the instability of memory itself. Whilst his poems find beauty, they also acknowledge the gaps where language fails to bridge the distance between displacement and belonging. And it is within these very gaps, the spaces where words fail and memory wavers, that the most profound connections are made. I hope that this presentation has offered a new perspective on how we might all find beauty within the wreckage of our own histories. I thank you for listening, and please see the next slide for my reference list.